Facebook Live presentation here today, and here is our GOP Media Director, Andrew Patch.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate everybody coming and taking some time out of their day to meet our candidates and our office holders. Today we have joining us Judge Miller and Commissioner Rex Moore. So hello guys.
Hi,
Hello.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we got a few announcements. The Republican Party is getting busy. So we are going to be doing 2 events coming up here in September. Our first event is going to be selling some Trump signs on the 12th. It's a Saturday. The second Saturday of September. We're going to be out there at Rheinenbach's Corner. They're right across from Walmart. We're going to be there from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. We're going to have Trump signs available. We're hoping to do another meet and greet Facebook Live that will be there that afternoon too. So, join us, and if you need a Trump sign, come get them. We are also going to be doing a Nelson's Chicken fundraiser on the 26th. So we did one, not last year, I think the year before we did one. And that was a very good success, and we're also going to do that at Rheinenbach's Corner. So join us for that. And that will be from 10:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday the 26th. We will have chicken halves for $7. And we also have some potatoes and water available for purchase if you would like some of those. You can call Chairman Gerald Walker at 260-849-9970 for ticket information and any other pertinent information you may have. So contact him and he will get you squared away with somebody in the area. We will have a location in Bern where you can pick up your chicken. So if you can't make it all the way to Decatur, give him a call. He will set you up with someone and you'll be able to pick it up straight from Bern. And I believe we're working on a location in Geneva as well. So check those out. The other thing that we are planning on doing is going to be in October, and this is our big event that we've had to move a few times. But this is our Lincoln Day dinner reception. We're going to have a Reagan reception at 5:30, and we're going to have the dinner at 6. I hope everybody can make it for that, because that's going to be one of our biggest dinners. We're going to have Diego Morales as our spokesperson, our main speaker. So I hope you can join us for that. And I think that's all of our announcements. We're going to get started. So thanks again, guys, for being here. We appreciate it. Appreciate you taking some time out of your Saturday. So, Judge, let's start with you. You are currently running again.
I am. This will be I'm seeking my 3rd term.
Okay, so what made you want to be a judge?
To be a judge, you have to also be an attorney. And I've been an attorney since 1991. So I had about 18 years of being an attorney in Adams County. I've been here all my life. Before I decided to run for judge, I was always an attorney that was in the courtroom. No matter what kind of cases I did, whether it was criminal cases, domestic, private hires for personal injury or small claims, landlord, tenant, you name it. I pretty much practiced everything. Back when I was an attorney, it was common practice that one of the local judges was out sick, on vacation, had to go to do like some kind of continuing education. They would ask local attorneys to fill in for them for the day or days of the week, as the case might be. And I would occasionally do that. Always found that I enjoyed being up there and being able to hear some cases and make some decisions. And it was just something that really fit with my personality and my basically makeup. I like making decisions. I'm okay with making decisions on these things. When Judge Hyman, who was the prior judge of Superior Court, chose to retire, he actually called me into his chambers, into into his office at the court and asked me, suggested that I run for the position. He thought I'd make a good candidate. Got me thinking. I went and I spoke to Judge Caffey, who was the judge at the time of the Adams Circuit Court, and spoke to him about it. He also encouraged me to consider running, and I did. Actually, I think Judge Caffey might have been retired at that point in time, but I spoke to him. I've always stayed in contact with Judge Caffey also. Judge Scherr was actually the other judge at the time. He also encouraged me. So, I ran, I've got it. I've never regretted it. I've been in there now for almost 12 years. Loved every day of what I do.
Okay. So to kind of continue with that, we got a question. What every year, I guess the judges do a judicial speech.
We do a state of the judiciary locally for Adams County. The Supreme Court does one for the state as a total that includes everything going across, the state from Gary to Evansville, as the case might be. But we always do one then locally here for how this judicial system is functioning in Adams County.
So is that something you're required to do, or is that just something that...
It's to give the public, some understanding of what the courts are doing, what we do, what we are doing, the kind of numbers and cases we're running, the trends we're seeing. We don't want to be that secretive governmental operation or department, as the case might be. We want people to understand what we do, so they have a better understanding. Coming to court is scary. I know that. I see it every single day, obviously, and this is to try to make it a little more maybe understandable and obtainable for people before they walk into the building, or when they're reading it in the newspaper, hearing things about it on the radio, obviously.
Okay. Well, we also have Commissioner Rex Moore joining us, so welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So I'm going to start out with the same question. What made you want to be commissioner? And was that the first government position that you kind of started with?
No, actually not. I was looking back on my past and my bio and things like that. My background is in financial management and being a controller of a couple businesses and so on, and being an owner of a couple businesses. Give me a financial background, and I think that prompted Pat's brother Adam was the one that talked to me when the treasurer's position was going to be open. And that was back in 2004, is when they had that election. So he talked to me sometime in there. We had lunch at the galley, and he said, well, I have a reason for bringing you here. And I said, well, I thought so. So he proceeded to tell me what was on his mind. I don't know, he might have been, was he the chairman of the Republican Party back then?
At that time,
yeah. Anyway, he had told me that they were looking for somebody to fill that position on the Republican Party. And I said, you gotta be kidding me. I said, I'm getting close to retirement, okay? At my age, my wife and I are gonna wanna pick up and just do whatever we wanna do, travel and everything like that. And he said, well, basically he said, with your background, I've been in banking for 22 and a half, about 21 years at that time. And he said, we think you may be electable. So I said, I'll give it some thought, Adam. So he said, well, you do that. Go back home, talk to your wife, and so on. I said, yeah, that's going to be an important part of it, because she's going to be part of my decision at that time. So that's what I did. I went back, we talked it over. She said, if you feel that's something you want to do, that's fine. And at that point in time, they had a holdover office. Okay, so if you were elected in 2004, you wouldn't take office to 2006. And that, it intrigued me. And I thought, well, with that holdover office, that gives me plenty of time to be able to transition out of the bank and get into that position. Okay, and so that was really one of the keys that I was able to do. And I talked to my superiors at the First Bank of Bern at that time, and told them what was on my mind and what was coming down the pike. That if I would be elected, then I would be moving position, and that's what happened. I was elected, and I served 2 terms. Now, back then, with that holdover office, I served 4 years, and then when I was reelected for the second term, that was a 3-year period. So I have 2 terms with 7 years at that point in time, and then they did away with that, the holdover office. So my last day as a treasurer was December 31st, 2012. So, oh, wow, I'm out of the political arena. I'm not a political animal, okay? I'm not. Politicking is really not in my blood, but I enjoyed my years of service, okay? And that's what I look at, Andrew, is the fact that, you know, you don't look at it as a job. You come into it and you look at it doing, you know, as a service to the public. And that was my attitude. And so I was out for, a couple of years or so, and then I was approached when the commissioner's position was going to be open. I was approached on that, and at that point in time, my wife had cancer. And I said, this is something I really need to give some serious consideration with her input. And she just basically, when I talked to her about it, she said, if you feel like you want to do that, I want you to go forward with it. And that's what I decided to do, to go forward and put my hat in, so to speak. That was a tough time for me, because with her cancer and her cancer treatments and everything, and I still did accounting and tax work. And I can remember April the 15th, of course, being the deadline, and her cancer came back. It was in remission, and it came back in January of that year. And that was what, 14, I believe? 2014. Anyway, she said, go ahead, so we did. But I didn't do any campaigning or anything until after April the 15th. Of course, you know the primary was that Tuesday in May. Yeah. And I was getting calls, aren't you going to put signs out? Aren't you going to do this or that? And my wife was scheduled to go up to the clinic on American Cancer Treatment Center, which is just north of Chicago. And we had to go, as soon as I got done with tax season, the 15th, we headed up there. And that was the bad news that I got, because then it was terminal. I got the news up there. But so I came back home, and we put the signs out, and went through the primary, and I got through the primary, which was very close. That was a close vote. And then my wife passed away June the 21st of 14. So she did not get to see me run in the general. But anyway, she had told the kids before she passed away was that she was happy that I had something to look forward to that is going to keep me busy. So proceeded to the general, got elected. So basically, it was kind of an evolution in my political life, so to speak.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Now, there's going to be a change up here in January on the commissioner board. We're going to have 2 brand new commissioners. Stan Stophagen.
Yeah.
And then
Stephen Kuhn is running, and he's unopposed in the general. As far,
So he should be taking office in January.
Yep. And the thing, I think, Andrew, and I don't know, Judge, this may be one of the biggest changes in the political arena, because we got 2 commissioners, 2 new commissioners coming in, and we also will have maybe up to 4 people in the council.
Yep.
So this is going to be
we're gonna have 3 with Stan stepping down. We're gonna have 3 new people, and then depending on how the race is, it could be 4.
Yes, right,
exactly.
right. Yeah, so it's going to be a bit, it's going to be some challenges, Andrew, no doubt about it.
A large learning curve.
Yes, there is going to be a large learning curve, because I'm only in my 2nd term, and I'm going to be the senior commissioner, so to speak. So, yeah, there's going to be some difficult challenges for us.
Okay. Well, that is probably all the prepared questions we got. As of right now, I don't see any of our Facebook Live questions, but if you're joining us on live, please, type up some questions. We will try to address them. If you don't make it into the live point, still put in the questions, and we will make sure we get the answers to you with private messaging and things like that. As you know, we're doing this all live. We're not able to have guests and things because of the COVID and everything. And I don't want to go too in depth because I know it's something you're just starting to investigate. But I hear that the court and maybe the commissioner and the council is going to do some more live type things, kind of get some video messaging stuff in. If you wanted to talk a little bit about.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, I'll start, and certainly Rex can join in, because this is a joint collaboration between county and courts at this point in time. We already have video conferencing in both courts. We get that. That was one of the things, honestly, when I became judge almost 12 years ago, that was one of the first things I tried to do, was get the jail set up with video conferencing, and then the courts, so we could conduct hearings with incarcerated individuals without requiring those individuals to be transported to court by sheriff's deputies. And when they were there, then the sheriff's deputies have to stay and actually basically supervise them and to make sure they don't escape or have contact or commit more crime or whatever the case might be. And we put this in 12 years ago, and it's been going very well. We also typically can link up with the Department of Corrections, the prison facilities, and for the same purpose. So we don't have to have somebody drive, 4 hours one way to get somebody, bring them to a hearing. It might be 20 minutes and then take them back. But the equipment we have is old. It was top of the line when we brought it in. It's now old and antiquated, and like all computer kind of related IT stuff, it's past its life expectancy. With the COVID pandemic, the Supreme Court of Indiana has drastically, at least temporarily, but we're expecting this to be more than temporary, has changed the rules on how we can do video. Indiana has never allowed somebody to videotape a court proceeding and then air it live on this, let's say, YouTube. Now we can do that. Now we're told we need to do that because we're limiting who can come into court to see it. The courts are open. The Constitution of Indiana says courts are open to the public. You have a right to walk in and sit down and watch a hearing, but we're not letting people in because of COVID. So in order to adjust for that, the Supreme Court said you have to make your hearing still visible to people. They have to still be able to come in and observe if they want to. So they want us to not only continue to have contact with the jails and prison facilities for the convenience sake, but now they want us to actually start broadcasting these out onto basically a YouTube video live, not to be recorded, not to be played back later, but live, so other people can watch it. Whether that's jury trials or whatever it might be, a plea of guilty or a landlord-tenant small claim action or something of that nature. So we've really started exploring what we can do, and between the county commissioners and council, the courts, as well as the prosecutor, the public defender, the IT department, and other departments also, we've been talking about trying to get a more a state-of-the-art system in there that will link not only both courts to each other and the jail to the courts, and even maybe the courts to the commissioner's room and to the prosecutor's offices and the public defender, but also to other courts across the state and such, and to get us the ability to put our hearings out onto the YouTube channels or wherever they're being broadcast so people can watch them and see them. This is all being driven by the COVID pandemic at this point in time. The Supreme Court started this, they started telling us we need to do this several months ago. It's went over well in counties that were already more equipped to do this than ours were. And the Supreme Court has continued, while the COVID pandemic's in effect, to continue to expand our ability to use video conferencing to conduct hearings. To, if a witness is under quarantine or they're out of county or state and they can't be here, to now allow them to appear by video in the courtroom where everybody can see them and they can see everybody else. That's why you can't just use hypothetically Zoom or Microsoft Teams or Facebook live versions and such like that. You have to have something that has has some security features and can catch the whole courtroom, and the judge basically has control because you don't want people cutting into your hearing and interfering with it or pirating it or rebroadcasting, as the case might be. And we have to do this because the Supreme Court's directed the courts to do this. All the courts in Indiana, including mine, work for the Supreme Court. I mean, they are ultimately our bosses on these matters, and they've directed us to do this. But the county, and I don't want to talk for us, but I think the county sees some massive benefits on this too, and I'd certainly let him talk about it from his side.
Yeah, we were approached, and we had investigating done by CBTS, Cincinnati Bell Technology Company over in Cincinnati, and they're experts in the WebEx area, and they deal with the Cisco equipment and so on and so forth. And we wanted to provide the courts with a very, with the best technology that they can do, audio and video, which is very important. And just to give you an example, we talked, I guess we had an expert witness had to be brought in for California. We got all that expense to bring somebody in, and I believe that providing them with the best equipment it's a sizable investment that we're going to do that is also going to reap some benefits on the other side, where we're going to reduce some costs and so on in transportation, like the judge had said, and so on. But we want to provide them with the tools they need to be more efficient. This is becoming the norm now. We call it the new norm. I don't think we do that anymore. It's going to be norm. So that's what the commissioners, that is our goal, to give them the best equipment that they can utilize and help do their job more efficiently too. So,
and that is something that, you got all the departments of Adams County, from my point, seem to work well together with making sure they have not only what the department needs, but to look ahead for where other uses could be.
Andrew, what the commitment that has been made from the council and the commissioners, IT is now a huge part of our budget. It just is. We feel that we're very fortunate in the hiring of Mike Brown, who had been in this area, with a local company that actually they had moved down and burned and closed up and moved to Chicago and Elkhart. His expertise is in security. So, with everything that's going on with the hacking and the ransomware and all those type of things that are out there, you need to be knowledgeable in providing the best protection, firewalls, etc. You're going to get into technology that I don't know. I'm dangerous in that area. But anyway, we formed an IT committee that kind of helps us, and Mike and I'm on that from a commissioner standpoint. Stan Stoppenhagen is on it as a council rep, and then the sheriff is involved and things like that. So things are bounced off of us, and then we like to have the feedback from the different departments as to what they need, so we can have a joint effort. And we work together pretty good. There's always going to be differences of opinion. There's always going to be problems that you got to work out. Yeah. But overall, our main goal pretty much is in unity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the thing I've seen locally with the technology from the council and other things is I've watched the county website improve a lot over the past year. Used to be every time I Googled Adams County, it came up with Adams County, Colorado. Had their website and everything. Now, we're actually, when I Google Adams County, Indiana is the first thing that we see, because we've done good of getting it out there and getting information to the public. Which is the main reason we're doing our meet and greets, is because we want to educate the public on what we do and how we do. Right. So, the next thing I wanted to get into, and we'll start with you again, Judge, is to the people that don't know, I think a lot of people know what a judge does, or at least they think they know what a judge does. Why don't you just kind of briefly tell us what you do in your courtroom?
Absolutely. And honestly, that's a good question, because judges do a lot more than I think people think they do. I obviously hear legal disputes. That is my primary focus and goal. People have a dispute. They cannot get it settled. They come to court. there is a fact-finding hearing, there's a trial, there's some kind of evidentiary hearing, and I make the decision. If they can't come to a decision, I order it. It's final. It's required to be followed. That's the simple version. The large version is in Superior Court, and Superior and Circuit Court are different. We do something similar, in some cases similar, but we do different types of cases too. I do all the traffic, so anybody who gets a traffic ticket comes to my court. Anybody who gets an ordinance violation comes to my court. There are thousands of those a year. I do all the small claims. Small claims typically includes debt collection, landlord, tenant, just minor disputes between, sometimes neighbors over some type of damage to their property, various other things, lost titles with the BMV, and there are hundreds, if not thousands, of those typically filed a year also. I also, and this is a huge issue for me, I do all the misdemeanor criminal offenses, so the minor crimes. I do all the low-level felony crimes. That last year was over 1,100 cases. And I do about 45 to 5,000 cases a year, so you would think that's a fifth of it, but that monopolizes all Mondays of my court, all Tuesdays of my court, all Wednesdays of my court, almost all Thursdays of my court, and sometimes bleeds into Friday. So criminal court is really primarily what I do. I'm hearing criminal cases very routinely, so I also am the guy who gets called, and it's not saying the other judge doesn't too, but I get called at 3 o'clock in the morning to issue a blood draw warrant or a search warrant or an arrest warrant, or we also do mental health commitments. People are suicidal, but they're mentally ill and they need to be committed into a mental hospital for a period of time. The judges have to issue those orders to do that, so I am routinely, I say it and I'm happy to do it. I'm on call 24/7. I get called at all times of the day and the night. An example, last night after I went home, the prosecutor contacted me because I had to find probable cause on 5 different people who had been arrested and had to have their cases reviewed by like 8 o'clock this morning, or they were going to be released from jail. So I had to look at those and find those last night. That's just part of the job. It's the way things happen. But besides doing the stuff in court, of course, I have to review pleadings and paperwork and documents that are filed and decide whether I need to have hearings or whether I need to issue out orders. And sometimes that doesn't require hearings, but I still have to make decisions. I probably sign in any given day during the week 80 to 100 easily orders that I have to review and then sign. I have a staff. I have a court administrator, 3 court reporters who go in and record the hearings and do my orders. I have a court security bailiff who provides security from my court, but also my building also has probation, and so also provides security for probation. I also have a drug court. Drug court is a problem-solving court. It's actually approved and certified by the Indiana Supreme Court. We've had that in effect. In October, it'll be 5 years. That we run people who are non-violent criminal, felony-level criminal offenders who have basically massive drug problems, and they're committing the crimes because they have a drug problem. So these kind of people don't respond well in jail. In fact, you put them in jail, you tend to make them worse because it doesn't fix the issue that they have an underlying drug abuse or addiction problem. So drug court is designed to try to very very strict supervised manner, monitor these people, immediately kind of address them and sanction them when they screw up, reward them when they do well, and try to get that behavior corrected and fixed, get them into the mental health professionals as well as the medical health professionals to get the underlying issues addressed and treated, as the case might be. And we do that every Thursday afternoon, every single Thursday afternoon. The Supreme Court, you asked me earlier, one of the questions you asked me earlier was what about the state of the judiciary?
Yep.
This year, the Supreme Court of Indiana held their state of the judiciary. They held this back in January, and it was all about problem-solving courts like my drug court. They invited all the drug court judges down because they are a huge supporter, proponent of making these more available across the state to everybody, and not just drug courts, but to deal with veterans who come in, because veterans make up a huge, a substantial portion of the criminal cases that you come back from military service, a lot of times with post-traumatic stress disorders, drug and alcohol disorders, because they've seen and done things that they're struggling to cope with as part of their job, and they don't readjust well to civilian life. So we would like to see in Adams County some ability to handle them in maybe a veterans court, which is similar to a drug court. The other thing we've seen, and this is something that has absolutely skyrocketed since COVID started, is that the operating while intoxicated criminal cases have just literally, just overnight, went through the roof. Not just alcohol, but drugs too. There are specialty courts to handle with these, because those kind of people need those kind of people. I apologize. People who commit those and commit reoffenses on these, not somebody who just went out to the bar, had too many drink on their car, and drove home, and first time offense and never come back. For the people who have 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8, because when you get to people who have that pattern, they're very hard to address and fix. And again, jail time doesn't fix that problem. You put them in there, they still get out the same mindset that I'm capable of drinking and driving, or I'm capable of using drugs and driving, and they go out and they hurt or kill somebody. So we may be looking at something along those lines. Other things I do, I'm in charge of probation. Probation is the wing of the court. So all the probation officers work for myself and Judge Kuklahan. The Supreme Court of Indiana passed a law, a rule last year that's a law in state now called pretrial release, where they want low risk people who are being charged with criminal offenses not to be held in jail while they await their trial, and not to have to post some kind of financial bond, because if I have money but you don't, we're charged with the same thing, and I bond out and you don't, that's not very fair to you, because you didn't have $500 to go hire a bonding company or to put up a cash bond. They want us to let those people out, to treat them equally, because constitutionally, Indiana as well as this federal law says you shouldn't hold people in jail because they're poor. So they want us to let people out, but they also then want us to supervise and make sure they're not committing more crimes, that they're coming back to court, that we don't lose them in the process. So we are implementing something called pretrial release that allows a certain select group of people who have been arrested out of jail, possibly without posting bonds or without posting the normal bonds, but under some kind of monitoring to make sure that they're not jeopardizing the community at large in the process. Community corrections, they are the people who do home detention. It's an alternative to jail. You get to serve your jail sentence in your home. Community corrections has been in effect since, I don't know, around 1999 or so in Adams County, and they put an electronic ankle bracelet on your leg. They confine you to your home, except to go to work or to go to medical appointments or to court or probation or wherever you have to go. But you get to serve your jail sentence there. We use that, and I use that heavily. And I'm also the president of the advisory board that oversees the Community Corrections Department, and have been for, I don't know, 6 to 8 years probably. I've been on that board for over 10. That's a big help, and it's a big savings. I think the prior sheriff, not Sheriff Mayor, but Sheriff Reckaway, had indicated that the cost of putting somebody in jail for 1 day in Adams County is $62 a day. People on home detention pay their own way. County taxpayers don't pay for home detention, but we do all pay for jail incarceration. So we try to maintain a lower level of jail population if we can through the court system, simply because, number one, it's the right thing to do under certain circumstances. Number two, it's a huge cost savings. The same thing is true with drug court. If I have somebody in drug court, they're not in jail or prison. All these people who are in drug court would otherwise be in jail or prison typically, and normally they're dealing with sentences anywhere from about probably a year and a half up to, several of them have sentences that are probably 5, 6, 7, 10 years in length. And again, at $62 a day, that's a substantial amount of money. I think in our 22 people who have graduated drug court yet, I think we've saved the county taxpayers probably just the cost of not incarcerating these people close to $800,000. So it's substantial. Home detention's in the millions actually, because of the same thing. There's a lot of people who go on home detention. I deal with the prosecutors. I deal with the public defender's office. The clerk's office, again, is a county agency, and they're under Rex's oversight, obviously, for how they run their office. But they respond to the court. They maintain my records, my documents, my files. That's their job. They take the pleadings, they enter the judgments into the record, they collect fees and costs. so they also do respond to myself and Judge Kugelhahn. So we also do that. So there's a lot of people I oversee. There's a lot of people I'm in charge of, not just sitting in court all day on the bench and making decisions.
Okay, well, I am noticing as you're speaking, I'm noticing we're getting a couple questions in through Facebook. Tony, thank you for joining us. I want to recognize you, Tony Mullenkamp. He is going to be our new auditor.
Hi, Tony.
But he was asking if we could talk about a couple different things. The first main thing was the difference between Superior Court and Circuit Court.
That's easy. For the very, very basic difference is the Indiana Supreme Court says that every county will have a circuit court established. So circuit courts are constitutionally established. Once the state of Indiana started growing and they realized we need more courts, the legislature passed law saying that counties can create superior courts to assist the circuit courts, and we have the same exact power and authority as a circuit court, but we are not constitutionally created; we are statutorily created. So that's the very first basic difference. In Adams County, the stark, huge difference between circuit court and superior court. Circuit court will do high felony cases. They will do all the juvenile cases, so like paternities, child in need of services, the welfare cases. Juvenile delinquencies, that is where a child has committed a crime that they're not able to be prosecuted as an adult. Those go to them. They do wills and estates, probate, guardianships. Those go to circuit court. And then the circuit court and superior court share jurisdiction for civil matters like divorces and protective orders, car accident cases and things of that nature. They can file either one. Generally, and I do, again, I said this earlier, I do somewhere around I've done somewhere around 4,500 to 5,000 cases a year in my court. Circuit court does, and I don't want to tell you, I can't have the numbers exactly, probably 500 to 1,000 cases a year. They have larger cases, but way fewer. My court is a court that runs cases through every single day, and basically from 8 a.m. till 4:30. That's our hours of operation. We start at 8 and we end at 4:30, and we run cases through every single day. Dozens, if not sometimes even hundreds on a given day. It's not so many hundreds now with COVID because we have to limit how many people can come through. But back before COVID, it would not be uncommon for possibly one or two of my days to have 168 cases set on the calendar, hypothetically. And we run those through. So mine is a court of volume because, again, of all those traffic violations, those small claims, the fact that I do a large majority. There is about 1,100 criminal cases filed in my court a year. There's about 100 cases filed in the circuit court a year. And again, the circuit court's ones, they're the ones he's doing the burglaries and the drug dealing charges and murders if they happen, child molestations. That's what circuit court does.
Okay, now the other question that we had coming in also from Tony, what can you discuss the the difference between community corrections and work release?
Absolutely. Community corrections, again, community corrections does primarily home detention. So I order somebody to do a jail sentence, but if they're eligible, they can serve that jail sentence in their home with an electronic ankle bracelet on that tells the community corrections people where they are. And they are confined to their home except to go leave for necessities like work or school or counseling or therapy or doctor's appointments, those kind of things. And they get to serve their jail sentence there. And again, at no cost to Adams County taxpayers because people who are on home detention actually pay their own fees. It's part of the agreement to do that. Work release is a sheriff's program. Work release is you are sent to jail, but when you're in jail you have a job, so the sheriff will let you out of the jail to go to your job and back. Work release tends to be for people who are probably committing more serious crimes, or they're at a higher risk maybe to commit additional crimes, or they're dangerous, and we want to make sure we have them locked up at night, so to speak, because we are scared of them or they are dangerous. But we also want them to pay their way, because if you're in work release, you pay a fee to do work release. Again, people who go to jail and simply serve a jail sentence don't pay for that stay. We pay for that stay, but people in work release do. The sheriff's work release program is something the sheriff runs, the sheriff monitors, and the sheriff sets the terms and conditions. And people get out to go to work and back. That's what they get. That's it. Work release is going to work and back while you're in jail. Home detention is serving the jail sentence in your home and having a set of conditions that allow you to leave it.
Okay.
But both of them are alternatives to standard jail time. Both of those are.
And Tony wanted to clarify that this is the questions he's asked. He's been asked by different taxpayers and stuff, and he thought this would be a nice kind of platform, which is why we're doing it. We want to get the questions answered where they may not walk up to you on the street or whatever, but it gives them an
And
opportunity.
these are questions that get asked a lot because people don't necessarily understand what these particular supervision agencies do, basically, like home detention and work release, or probation for that matter sometimes.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you kind of the same question. What does a commissioner do? I have my ideas. I'm sure the public has their ideas. But what do you guys do?
Well, you know, that's a question I had to ask myself before I even accepted to throw my hat into the ring, so to speak, was what does county government do? And I mean, I like to throw that, since this is a new thing for us, this media. It's a great thing, I think, to get what you want to do is get the educational aspect of it out. And everybody needs to ask themselves, what does the county government actually do? Well, first of all, the commissioners, there's 3 of us. We're voted on county-wide, but you each have to live in your own district. So there's 3 different districts on that. So basically, I'm going to just I got a little bit of an outline here on some of the more important powers. This is the legislative body of the county. Okay, so we audit authorized claims against the county. We receive bids and authorize contracts. We control, maintaining, and supervising county property, including the courthouse, the jail, and public offices, and that's a big area there. Okay, we're responsible for it. Supervising construction and maintenance of roads and bridges, and there's about 700 miles of roads in Adams County that we're responsible for. Exercising appointing powers, including both the selection of members to fill positions on boards, commissions, and committees, and appointments of certain department heads. There's about 22 some departments. Now, there has to be a representative of a commissioner on each one, or there may be 3 of us, okay, that have to be on each one. We kind of split those duties up. For instance, like 3 of us, the drainage board, each commissioner has to be on the drainage board, along with the county surveyor. That's another responsibility we have. Serve on the county board of finance with the county treasurer, which is going to be, Ed Dyer is going to be elected. He's not opposed, so we'll be working with him. Another thing is the planning and implementing strategies for solid waste handling as members of the solid waste district board. All 3 of us are on that board. Okay, and then we split up the others between ourselves. But anyway, the law requires the commissioners to meet, actually, only once a month. But because of the duties and things and responsibilities that are increasing the demands of the commissioner's time, we meet once a week. Okay, and there's also other meetings and different things we have to attend that may pop up as needed. So, there's been some weeks you could spend 25 to 30 hours a week on duties, and that is answering people's questions. I get emails. I try to answer every email I get and get back to them, or we get telephone calls that we have to respond to. If there's employee problems or something, we sometimes will get called, okay, can you come in? Now, the luxury that the 3 commissioners have at this point in time is that all 3 of us have the ability, usually, to answer those things very quickly. Because I'm supposed to be retirement age, right? The only retirement I know of is when I go to bed at night, I retire. But anyway, if you don't anticipate spending the time that's needed to be done, you shouldn't run for that office.
Yes.
Okay, so it isn't very time consuming, and like Kim and Doug said, they've never seen so much time being spent now on issues before they didn't have to spend time on. But just to give you an example, I mean, there's a whole, when you go through the handbook of county commissioners, there's like 38 bullet points, just to give you an example of general powers and duties: controlling and maintaining, supervising county property, including the courthouse, the county home, hospitals, library, jail, and equipment and the facilities that are involved in there. And, you know, there's just numerous things, Andrew, that have to be done. And I want people to answer, you know, to ask themselves that question: what is county doing? And they should investigate, and they ought to know the candidates that they're voting for and where their heart is. And they ought to know a little bit more about county government. I did not know much before I even became treasurer. That wasn't my interest. You know, but now getting involved in and seeing the workings of county government, you better have a heart to serve, is all I can say. You know, and be able to spend the time to do the job effectively. And the biggest thing that I feel that I do, one of my strong points that I believe in, is I listen. I'll listen to people and then decide, look at the input that they give me, you know, and try to explain the situations and be, you know, be transparent to them.
Okay, well, I want to thank you guys again for coming on, bearing with us. We are doing this on Facebook Live, but we are going to be posting this to our YouTube channel today. Once we get it finished, we'll have to do some editing and stuff. It'll take a little time. But we'll get it posted to our YouTube channel. So if you look up Adams County Republican Party on YouTube, that will take us to our brand new YouTube channel, where you'll be able to see this in its entirety, and hopefully you can share it with your friends and other people in the county. If they're saying, I don't think the commissioners do anything, I think we explain to them we do a lot more than what they think we do.
A little bit, we explained.
If we were going to talk about it, it'd take a lot more videos to cover every single thing there.
Yes.
I want to give you guys an opportunity. If there's anything else you want to say in closing, to kind of say it, we'll start with you, Judge. If there's anything
Thank you.
that you want to mention.
I would. You know what? I have absolutely loved serving as judge for the last 12 years. I feel it was my calling. Again, as of right now, I've done over 50,000 cases through my court. You know, and every single case is something that could be appealed to the Indiana Supreme Court or the Court of Appeals, and those judges and those courts have a right to review what I do and reverse me. In all those years, I've been reversed, I believe, one time. And one is more than I would have preferred not to have, but you know what? That's a pretty good track record. I enjoy what I do. I like what I do. I have always, if court opens at 8 o'clock, I'm there at 8 o'clock. When court is done at 4:30, I'm still at that building. Normally I leave 5 or 6 o'clock at night because I want to make sure that I'm getting things done. This is my job. This is my duty. This is my passion's career. And I'm not complaining about that. It's time consuming, but it's a labor of love for me. And I would very much appreciate the ability to do this in the future. I appreciate anyone who is willing to vote for me. And I promise I will do my absolute best to be a fair and impartial judge who rules timely and judicially on these matters. And please be aware that my court is always open. Again, with COVID, there are some restrictions on coming in, but my court is always open. It's not a secretive court. You're welcome to come and see how things work. I'm approachable. I'm always willing to answer questions and answer. I can't talk about cases. That's the one thing judges can't do. Can't talk about my cases, but I can certainly explain how things go. And clearly, as you've seen today, I don't mind talking. That's part of my job. Thank you.
Yep. Rex, would there be anything you want to?
Well, I'm not running for office at this point in time, but I really thank you for the support that has been given, on my behalf anyway, and I appreciate serving the residents of Adams County. I never envisioned ever being in the political arena. I enjoy it. My hair's getting thinner because of it, but that's all right. Just appreciate, and I like to encourage everyone to get out and vote. To me, this is a critical election. We've got some ideologies that are involved like, and this is my personal opinion, some of them are very bad. And so I just encourage people to get involved, know what's going on, and get out and vote. And I just thank you for the educational aspect that you're trying to do, Andrew. And hey, if we need to do it again, and we need to go a little bit more in depth on some of these things, I encourage people to come to the commissioners' meetings. It's open door policy. Feel free to do that. And they can email me and call me. You know, I will respond back. I can guarantee you that. But you'll get a response from me.
Okay, well, thank you guys for joining us. We're gonna close here. If you need to buy a Trump sign, contact the Adams County Party or Chairman Jerry Walker. I gave his phone number before. And he will set up. We got several people throughout the county that are selling them. So please, if you need a Trump sign, contact us. So have a great day, and until the next time we get together.
Thank you all. This concludes our Facebook Live presentation from the Adams County Republican Party. Have a great day.